Success is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of mindset. Champions are made by the way they think, the way they act, and the way they push themselves when no one's watching. If you want to achieve greatness, you have to start thinking like a champion right now. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. What you need is belief in yourself and the courage to take bold action every single day. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down the powerful mindset shifts that will push you towards success, no matter where you're starting from. By the end, you'll have the tools to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start taking charge of your future, just like the champions who never stop believing in themselves. Let's get into it. Number 1, champions train their mind before their body. The difference between people who win and people who never make it isn't luck. It isn't talent. It isn't some magical opportunity that only a few people get. The truth is, winning starts in the mind before it ever happens in real life. Champions don't just train their bodies. They don't just work on their skills. They train their minds first. That's why they succeed when others quit. That's why they push through obstacles when others give up. Before a champion steps onto the field, before they walk into the ring, before they make a move, they've already won in their head. They don't wait for success to happen to them. They create it. They decide who they are long before the world sees it. And that's why they always rise above the rest. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they never train their mind to keep going when things get hard. They fail because their mind breaks before their body ever gets the chance to fight. You see, most people wake up and let the world control them. They check their phone. They scroll through social media. They react to whatever happens. But a champion doesn't wait to see how they feel. A champion doesn't let distractions pull them away from their purpose. A champion wakes up and takes control of their mind before anything else. They decide how they will think. They decide how they will act. They don't wait for motivation. They create it. That's the difference. The average person wakes up and goes through the motions. They wait for inspiration. They wait to feel ready. But champions, they wake up and command their mind to focus. They don't care if they feel tired. They don't care if they feel unmotivated. They do what needs to be done because they have trained themselves to follow their purpose, not their feelings. They don't let a single thought of weakness stay in their mind. The moment doubt creeps in, they replace it with belief. The second an excuse shows up, they shut it down with action. That's why they succeed. That's why they get to the top. You have to understand that your body will always follow your mind. If your mind is weak, your actions will be weak. If your mind is filled with doubt, your results will reflect that doubt. But if your mind is unshakable, if your mind is disciplined, if your mind is strong, then nothing can stop you. That's why champions train their minds first, because without mental toughness, talent is wasted. Without mental toughness, hard work doesn't matter. You can work as hard as you want, but if your mind isn't strong enough to handle pressure, handle setbacks, and handle failure, then you will break when things get difficult. Look at the people who start strong, but never finish. They begin with excitement. They are full of energy. They talk about their dreams, but then life throws a challenge at them. Maybe it's failure. Maybe it's rejection. Maybe it's just a bad day. And what happens? They give up. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. They start looking for excuses. They convince themselves that the struggle is too much. But a champion doesn't break when things get tough. They get stronger. They don't crumble under pressure. They thrive in it. And the only reason they can do that is because they have trained their mind to be unshakable. Everything starts in your head. Before you achieve it, you must believe it. Before you win, you must see yourself winning. Most people don't get what they want because their mind is filled with doubt, hesitation, and fear. They tell themselves, I don't think I can do this. And that thought alone is enough to keep them stuck. But champions, they don't entertain weak thoughts. They don't let fear control them. They don't let excuses dictate their actions. They train their minds to be stronger than their doubts. They train their minds to be stronger than their emotions. And here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear. Champions don't waste time on negativity. They don't waste time on distractions. They don't sit around scrolling through nonsense. They don't let weak people influence them. They guard their mind like a fortress. If a thought isn't pushing them forward, they get rid of it. If a habit isn't helping them grow, they cut it out. If an environment is making them weaker, they leave. That's why they get results. That's why they make progress. They are disciplined, not just in their actions, but in their thoughts. If you want to win, you must train your mind to think like a champion. You must prepare yourself mentally before you ever step into the world. Champions don't wait for proof to believe in themselves. They don't wait for results to show up before they decide to commit. They believe in themselves before the world sees anything. They act like winners before they ever get a trophy. They carry themselves with confidence before they ever hear applause. That's why they reach levels that others don't. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for validation. They decide, and once they decide, they never look back. The reason most people fail isn't because they don't have what it takes. It's because they never took control of their thoughts. They never trained their mind to stay focused when distractions showed up. They never trained their mind to push through when things got uncomfortable. They never trained their mind to see failure as a lesson instead of a reason to quit. And that's why they stopped before they ever reached success. But here's the good news. You don't have to be born with this mindset. You don't have to be special. You don't have to wait for some perfect moment. You can train yourself to think like a champion, starting today. Every morning, take control of your mind. Don't let the world decide your energy. Don't let circumstances decide your attitude. You decide, wake up with a purpose. Start your day with a clear focus. Speak power into your mind. Say to yourself, I am strong, I am disciplined, I am ready, and say it until you believe it. Because once your mind believes it, your body will follow. Champions don't allow weak thoughts to take root. The second an excuse shows up, they reject it. The moment doubt tries to creep in, they replace it with action. And that's what makes them different. That's why they succeed when others quit. That's why they dominate while others hesitate. You have a choice. You can let your mind be controlled by distractions, doubts, and fear, or you can take control. You can decide today that you will think, act, and live like a champion. Because once you make that decision, once you truly commit, then nothing can stop you. Champions are not born, they are built, and it all starts with a choice. The choice to train your mind before your body. The choice to believe in yourself before the world sees it. The choice to be unstoppable. Now go out there and prove it. Number 2, they use pain as fuel, not as an excuse. Pain is something we all try to avoid, right? It's uncomfortable, it's draining, and we just want to escape it. But champions, they see pain differently. They don't let it stop them. They don't use it as an excuse to quit or back down. They use pain as fuel. They take that discomfort, that struggle, and turn it into something powerful that pushes them forward instead of holding them back. When you can start using pain in this way, you'll begin to understand what it means to have a champion's mindset. Let's be real for a second. Life isn't always going to be smooth sailing. There will be times when things feel heavy, times when you feel like giving up, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and every step forward is harder than the last. But that's exactly when champions rise. When everyone else is looking for an escape, champions are looking for ways to push through. They know that the road to greatness isn't easy, but they also know that every struggle, every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger. And they embrace that. Think about it for a moment. The greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and achievers of all time didn't get to where they are by avoiding pain. No, they got there by facing it head on. They didn't run away from the tough times. They leaned into them. They understood that each challenge they faced was sharpening them, making them better, more resilient, and more capable of handling whatever life threw at them next. You don't get to greatness by waiting for life to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But champions don't need things to be perfect. They need to keep moving, keep growing, keep pushing forward, even when things feel impossible. When they face setbacks, they don't wallow in self-pity or make excuses. They look for the lesson in the pain. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become stronger? And this mindset is what sets them apart. Pain is inevitable. It's going to come, no matter what. But how you respond to it, that's what will determine your success. If you let pain stop you, you'll never make it. But if you use that pain as fuel to drive you forward, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. One of the biggest mistakes most people make is trying to avoid pain at all costs. They run from discomfort. They shy away from challenges. And they end up stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. But champions don't see pain as something to avoid. They see it as a stepping stone, a necessary part of the journey that helps them grow, evolve, and become the best version of themselves. Every time they face a tough situation, they ask themselves, how can I use this? They don't allow themselves to become victims of their circumstances. Instead, they turn those circumstances into opportunities. They get back up, keep going, and use that pain as motivation to push even harder. This is why champions aren't afraid of failure. They don't fear setbacks. They know that failure is just another form of pain. And pain doesn't have to be a roadblock. It can be a powerful tool for growth. Each time they fail, they learn. Each time they face adversity, they come back stronger. They understand that nothing worth achieving comes easy. The road will be tough, and that's exactly why they're prepared to face it. You don't have to be a professional athlete or a world-renowned entrepreneur to use pain as fuel. You can start right now, wherever you are, whatever you're going through. The next time you face something challenging, instead of retreating, lean in, embrace the discomfort, the struggle, the pain. Ask yourself what you can learn from it. Ask yourself how it's making you better, even when it feels hard to see. When you begin to shift your perspective and use pain as fuel, you'll notice a change in yourself. You'll become more resilient. You'll become more determined. You'll start seeing obstacles as opportunities to grow, rather than reasons to quit. Pain will no longer control you. It will empower you. Think about the most successful people in the world. They've all faced pain. They've all faced moments where they wanted to give up. But the difference between them and most people is that they didn't let that pain defeat them. They didn't let it stop them. They let it drive them, inspire them, and push them further than they ever thought possible. If you want to be a champion, you need to start seeing pain as part of the process. You need to start using it as fuel to keep going, to push harder, to learn more, to grow stronger. Don't be afraid of the pain. Don't be afraid of the struggle. Embrace it. Let it motivate you to work harder, push further, and never stop. Because the pain you face today is the strength you'll have tomorrow. This is how champions are made. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about using it to propel you toward your goals. The more you embrace this mindset, the more you'll realize that nothing is impossible. The pain you feel now is just the beginning of the strength you'll gain. So the next time life throws you a challenge, don't back down. Step up. Use the pain. Let it fuel you. And watch as you transform into the champion you were always meant to be. Number 3. Champions destroy weak habits and build unstoppable routines. Most people live their lives controlled by habits they don't even realize they have. They wake up late. They scroll through their phones for hours. They make excuses for why they're not where they want to be. They know they should be doing better, but they fall back into the same weak routines that keep them stuck. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Champions don't live like that. They don't let weak habits run their lives. They destroy them. They rip them out of their daily routine and replace them with habits that make them stronger, sharper, and more disciplined. That's why they win. That's why they keep moving forward, while everyone else stays stuck in the same cycle of failure. If you want to be a champion, you need to start by looking at your habits, every single one of them. Because whether you realize it or not, your habits control your future. The small things you do every day decide where you end up in life. Not once in a while, not when you feel like it, every single day. Champions understand this, and that's why they are ruthless when it comes to their daily routines. They don't allow laziness. They don't allow procrastination. They don't allow distractions to steal their focus. They take complete control over their habits because they know that the right habits will make them unstoppable. Think about it. Every person you admire, every person who has achieved massive success, didn't get there by accident. They built themselves up through discipline. They trained themselves to do the things most people avoid. They wake up early. They push their bodies and minds past their limits. They stay consistent even when they don't feel like it. They don't waste time on nonsense. And because of that, they dominate in their field. While others are making excuses, they are putting in the work. While others are waiting for motivation, they are already taking action. That's why they rise to the top. That's why they are different from the rest. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they never develop the discipline to break their bad habits. They keep telling themselves they'll change, but they never do. They keep saying tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year. And before they know it, years have passed, and they're still in the same place, living the same life, making the same excuses. That's the difference between champions and the average person. A champion does not wait. They don't hope things will get better on their own. They take action. They make a decision to change, and they follow through, no matter what. It's not enough to just want success. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants to be stronger, richer, smarter, more successful. But very few are willing to do what it takes. Very few are willing to give up the bad habits that keep them weak. Champions are different. They make sacrifices. They choose long-term success over short-term comfort. They understand that if they don't take control of their habits will take control of them. That's why they wake up every day with a plan. That's why they don't waste time on things that don't matter. They structure their days for success, and that's why they win. Look at your life right now. Look at your daily habits. Are they making you stronger or weaker? Are they moving you forward or holding you back? If you're not where you want to be, the first thing you need to do is change your routine. Cut out the things that are wasting your time. Stop sleeping in. Stop making excuses. Stop letting distractions pull you away from your goals. Replace your bad habits with habits that build you up. Wake up early. Read every day. Train your body. Train your mind. Take action even when you don't feel like it. If you do this consistently, you will become unstoppable. You will separate yourself from the crowd. Champions don't wait for the right time. They don't wait for motivation. They create their own success through discipline. They design their lives around habits that push them to grow. They don't care how they feel. They don't care if they're tired. They don't care if it's difficult. They just do what needs to be done. And because of that, they rise above everyone else. That's what makes them champions. So if you're serious about success, stop making excuses. Stop letting weak habits control your life. Take action today. Build the habits that will take you to the top. Destroy the ones that are holding you back. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about luck. It's about discipline. And the person who has the discipline to master their habits will always win. Number 4. They never seek approval. They create their own path. Most people spend their lives waiting for someone to give them permission. They wait for approval, for validation, for someone to tell them it's okay to go after their dreams. They don't move unless someone else says it's the right thing to do. They fear judgment, rejection, and criticism so much that they never take action. They live their lives playing small, afraid to stand out, afraid to go against the grain, afraid to take control. And because of that, they stay stuck in the same place, never reaching their true potential. Champions don't live like that. They don't ask for permission. They don't wait for approval. They don't follow the crowd. They create their own path. They decide what they want, and they go after it without hesitation, without apology, without fear of what others might think. That's what separates them from the rest. That's why they win. Think about it. Every person who has ever done something great had to go against the grain. They had to ignore the doubters, the critics, the people who told them they were crazy. They had to trust themselves when no one else did. They had to walk a lonely road because success is not a path that comes with a cheering crowd. It's a road full of obstacles, full of resistance, full of people trying to pull you back. The weak ones give in. They listen to the voices telling them to stay in their place. They let fear dictate their choices. But the strong ones, the champions, they push forward anyway. They don't care if they're misunderstood. They don't care if people laugh at them. They don't care if the world doubts them. Because they know that in the end it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It only matters what they decide to do. Champions understand one thing better than anyone else. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to make your dreams come true for you. If you want something, you have to take full responsibility for making it happen. You have to stop waiting for approval and start taking action. Most people wait their whole lives for the perfect moment, for everything to line up just right. But the truth is, that moment never comes. There will always be doubts. There will always be people who don't believe in you. There will always be obstacles in your way. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you will never move. Champions don't wait. They take action, even when they're scared, even when they don't have all the answers, even when no one else believes in them. They trust themselves enough to move forward. And that's why they succeed. The world is full of people who will tell you what you can and can't do. They will try to fit you into their idea of what's possible. They will project their fears onto you. They will try to convince you to take the safe path, to follow the rules, to do what everyone else is doing. But champions don't follow the rules of average people. They don't let the opinions of others define their future. They make their own rules. They create their own reality. They don't waste time worrying about what other people think. They focus on what they need to do to reach their goals. And because of that, they achieve things that others only dream about. There's a reason why most people never achieve greatness. It's not because they're not capable. It's not because they don't have talent. It's because they let fear control them. They let self-doubt stop them. They let the need for approval keep them from taking risks. Champions understand that fear is part of the process. They feel the fear, but they don't let it stop them. They know that the only way to achieve something great is to step outside of their comfort zone, to take bold action, to do what most people are too afraid to do. They don't wait for permission. They don't need approval. They don't need a guarantee that things will work out. They believe in themselves enough to take the first step, and that's all that matters. Success is not given. It is earned, and it is only earned by those who have the courage to take control of their own lives. The ones who stop seeking approval, the ones who stop waiting for permission, the ones who stop following the crowd and start creating their own path. If you want to be a champion, you have to be willing to stand alone. You have to be willing to trust yourself, even when no one else does. You have to be willing to do what others are too afraid to do. Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. It's up to you to create it. It's up to you to take action. It's up to you to make the decision that you will not live your life waiting for approval. You will step up. You will take control. You will become the champion of your own life. Number 5. Champions know that comfort is the enemy. Success doesn't come to those who take it easy. It doesn't reward those who seek comfort, who avoid struggle, who play it safe. The ones who rise, the ones who make an impact, the ones who build something extraordinary. Those people understand that comfort is the enemy. They know that staying comfortable means staying stagnant. They know that if they don't push themselves beyond what feels good, they'll never grow. Champions don't run from discomfort. They don't avoid pain. They don't settle for what's easy. They embrace the challenge. They seek out resistance, and they push themselves harder every single day. That's why they win. Most people live their entire lives trying to make things easier for themselves. They look for shortcuts. They want to get fit without breaking a sweat. They want to build wealth without putting in the work. They want to be successful without making sacrifices. But life doesn't work that way. Every great achievement, every powerful transformation, every real success story comes from one thing: choosing to do the hard things. When everyone else chooses comfort, you can't have a strong body if you don't challenge it. You can't have a powerful mind if you don't push it. You can't build an extraordinary life if you're afraid of the struggle. Comfort is a trap. It lulls you into mediocrity. It makes you soft. It convinces you that everything is fine, when in reality, you're wasting time. Champions refuse to let that happen. You look at the most successful people in the world, and you'll see one thing in common. They didn't get there by staying in their comfort zones. They didn't grow by avoiding the struggle. They didn't become the best by doing what was easy. They pushed themselves beyond their limits. They sacrificed short-term comfort for long-term success. And they embraced the grind. They did what others were too afraid to do. That's why they're at the top. That's why they dominate. That's why they achieve the things most people only dream about. Because they weren't afraid to go through hell to get to where they are today. The problem with comfort is that it tricks you into thinking you're making progress when you're really just standing still. It convinces you that you're fine, that you're doing enough, that you don't need to push any harder. And that's where most people get stuck. They don't realize that growth only happens when you put yourself in situations that force you to adapt, that force you to fight, that force you to level up. If you never push yourself past your limits, you'll never know what you're capable of. You'll stay exactly where you are, living the same life, making the same mistakes, wishing things would change but never doing what's necessary to make it happen. That's not what champions do. Champions make a choice. They decide that they will not let comfort control their lives. They decide that they will embrace the pain, the struggle, the grind. They understand that real growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're sweating, when you're exhausted, when you're doubting yourself, but you keep going anyway. That's where the magic happens. That's where the transformation takes place. When you push past what feels good and step into what's necessary. That's the mindset that separates the winners from the losers. That's the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who settle for less. Most people quit when things get hard. They start something new. They get excited. They feel motivated. But the second it gets tough, they back off. They tell themselves it's too hard, that they don't have what it takes, that maybe it's not meant to be. But that's the moment that defines everything, because that's when most people stop, but champions keep going. That's when everyone else gives up, but champions push through. That's when the weak fall behind, but the strong rise up. The ones who understand this, the ones who refuse to let discomfort stop them, those are the ones who win. Those are the ones who build something legendary. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in history came from someone who was willing to suffer for what they believed in. Every record-breaking athlete, every world-changing entrepreneur, every person who has ever done something extraordinary had to endure discomfort, had to go through pain, had to struggle before they succeeded. If you think you can reach the top without paying the price, you're lying to yourself. If you think success is supposed to feel good all the time, you don't understand what it takes. There will be days when you want to quit. There will be moments when you feel like nothing is working. There will be times when it feels like the entire world is against you. And that's exactly when you have to push harder. That's when you have to remind yourself that comfort is the enemy, and growth only comes through struggle. Look at your life right now. Look at the areas where you're choosing comfort over growth. Look at the things you've been avoiding because they're too hard, too risky, too uncomfortable. And ask yourself, where is that getting you? Are you happy with where you are? Are you living up to your full potential? Or are you holding yourself back because you're afraid to step into the fire? Champions don't avoid the fire. They walk straight into it. They let it shape them. Let it forge them into something stronger. They know that every challenge, every setback, every painful moment is making them better, tougher, more unstoppable. That's why they don't run from difficulty. They run toward it. You have two choices in life. You can choose comfort, or you can choose greatness. But you can't have both. You can stay where you are, doing what feels safe, avoiding the hard things, and live a life of regret. Or you can embrace the struggle, push through the pain, and build a life that most people will never have the courage to create. It's not easy, but that's the point. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But champions, they do what's hard. They do what others won't. They sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term success. And because of that, they achieve the kind of results that most people will never experience. So ask yourself, are you willing to get uncomfortable? Are you willing to push past your limits? Are you willing to do what it takes to rise above the rest? Because that's what it takes to be a champion. That's what it takes to win. And if you're serious about reaching the next level, you need to stop chasing comfort and start chasing something greater. You need to commit to the process, no matter how hard it gets. You need to remind yourself every single day that comfort is the enemy. Growth is painful. Success is uncomfortable. But champions embrace it. And that's why they succeed. Number 6. They make decisions fast and never look back. Most people will never understand what it truly takes to transform their lives. They dream, they hope, they wait for the right moment. But when it's time to take action, they hesitate. They let fear stop them. They let doubt control them. And before they know it, years have passed, and they're still standing in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. But here's the truth. Life doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who move. It rewards those who refuse to sit back and let time slip away. It rewards those who understand that if they don't take control of their destiny, someone else will. You can't keep waiting for things to get easier. You can't keep telling yourself that you'll start when you feel ready. Readiness is a lie. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Because there will always be fear. There will always be uncertainty, and there will always be a reason to put it off. But the people who succeed, the ones who make a real impact, they don't wait until they feel ready. They start before they're ready. They step into the unknown. They take action despite the fear. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. You see, most people have convinced themselves that their circumstances are the reason they can't move forward. They tell themselves they don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they don't have the knowledge. But that's just an excuse. The truth is they're scared. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid of what other people will think. They're afraid of stepping into something unfamiliar. And that fear keeps them trapped in a cycle of inaction. But here's what you have to understand. Fear is not a sign to stop. Fear is a signal that you're about to grow. Fear means you're stepping into something bigger than yourself. And that's exactly why you need to move forward, not backward. Think about how many dreams have died because of hesitation. How many people had the potential to achieve something great, but let doubt hold them back? How many times have you told yourself you'd start tomorrow, only to let another day pass without taking action? That's the trap. That's how people lose years of their lives waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. But you don't have to live like that. You can choose something different. You can choose to stop overthinking. You can choose to stop making excuses. You can choose to step into the fire and become something more. There will never be a perfect time to start. There will never be a moment where you suddenly feel 100% ready. You have to start where you are with what you have and figure it out along the way. That's how progress is made. That's how winners are built. They don't have all the answers when they begin. They don't wait until they know every step. They just take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. And eventually they look back and realize they've built something incredible. But none of that happens if you never take the first step. You have to make a decision. Are you going to keep living the same life, making the same excuses, telling yourself the same stories, or are you going to step up, take control, and start moving forward? Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to do it for you. If you don't take responsibility for your life, you will watch your potential slip through your fingers. And one day you'll wake up and realize that you wasted the one chance you had to become everything you were meant to be. The people who achieve greatness, the ones who change the world, they are not different from you. They are not special. They simply made a choice. They chose to stop letting fear dictate their actions. They chose to stop waiting for the perfect moment. They chose to get up, get moving, and figure it out as they go. And because of that, they created something legendary. You have that same power. You have that same opportunity. But you have to be willing to step into the unknown. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to move forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Success isn't about being the smartest. It's not about having the best plan. It's about taking action. It's about doing the work. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when you're full of doubt. That's what separates the best from the rest. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. They rely on consistency. They rely on the simple fact that they made a commitment to themselves, and they refuse to break that commitment. That's the mindset that leads to success. That's the mindset that changes lives. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop overthinking. You already know what you need to do. You already know what steps you need to take. The only thing left is to do it. The time will never be perfect, but your opportunity is right now. This is your moment. This is your time. Don't waste it. Don't let another day go by without taking action. The future you want is waiting on the other side of your fear. The life you dream of is possible, but only if you're willing to move. You have one life, one shot, one opportunity to make something of yourself. Don't waste it, waiting for the perfect moment. Don't let fear keep you stuck in a life that doesn't fulfill you. Take action now. Make the decision to step into your power. Make the choice to stop waiting and start doing. Because in the end, the only regret you'll have is that you didn't start sooner. Number 7. Champions guard their mind like a fortress. Most people will never understand the power of their own mind. They go through life reacting to everything, letting circumstances control them, blaming the world for their failures, and never realizing that they have the ability to reshape their reality at any moment. But the truth is, Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever have. It's the difference between success and failure, between a life of mediocrity and a life of greatness. And if you don't learn how to control it, if you don't learn how to rewire it, then you will stay stuck in the same patterns, repeating the same mistakes, living the same life year after year while wondering why nothing ever changes. You have to wake up and understand that everything you want is within reach. But your mind is the gatekeeper. It is either your greatest weapon or your biggest enemy, and the choice is yours. Most people let their minds control them. They let doubt, fear, and negativity dictate their actions. They tell themselves they're not good enough, that they don't have what it takes, that success is for other people, and they believe it. And because they believe it, they live it. Their thoughts become their reality, and without even realizing it, they trap themselves in a cycle of failure. But here's the secret. If your thoughts can create failure, they can also create success. If your mind has the power to hold you back, it also has the power to set you free. Most people never take control of their thoughts. They let their minds run on autopilot, repeating the same limiting beliefs, playing the same mental movies of past failures, and reinforcing the same self-doubt that keeps them from ever moving forward. But what if you could rewire your brain? What if you could shift the way you think and start seeing possibilities instead of limitation? What if you could train your mind to work for you instead of against you? That's where the real power lies. That's where transformation begins. And that's when you start living life on your terms. You have to stop feeding your mind garbage, the negativity, the excuses, the distractions. Everything you consume is shaping the way you think. If you constantly feed yourself doubt, you will become doubtful. If you surround yourself with people who complain and make excuses, you will start making excuses. If you focus on everything that's going wrong, you will start believing that success is impossible. Your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs everything around it, and what you put in determines what you get out. You have to protect your mind like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. What you allow into your head will determine the life you create. You can't expect to think like a winner if you're constantly consuming the mindset of a loser. Start feeding your mind the right things. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you, who inspire you. Read books that expand your thinking. Listen to ideas that elevate your mindset. Cut out the negativity, the distractions, the things that keep you stuck. Because the more you expose yourself to greatness, the more you start believing that greatness is possible for you. The more you train your mind to see opportunities instead of obstacles, the more you start taking action. And the more you take action, the more you start seeing results. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it will become weak. If you let it run wild, it will become undisciplined. But if you take control, if you start shaping it with intention, it will become unstoppable. And once your mind is unstoppable, your actions will follow. That's the real secret to success. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's the ability to control your own mind and direct it toward what you want. Winners don't wait for motivation. They don't let their emotions dictate their actions. They don't sit around hoping things will change. They train their minds to focus, to push through resistance, to keep moving forward no matter what. And that's why they win. Every single day you have a choice. You can let your old programming control you, or you can start reprogramming your mind for success. You can keep feeding yourself doubt, or you can start feeding yourself belief. You can keep waiting for things to change, or you can decide to change them yourself. It's not easy. It takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes the willingness to do the work, even when you don't feel like it. But if you commit to it, if you truly commit to taking control of your mind, your entire life will shift. You have to take responsibility for your thoughts. You have to stop blaming your past, your circumstances, your environment. You have to stop telling yourself that you're stuck, that you're not capable, that things will never get better. Because as long as you believe those lies, they will become your truth. But the moment you start shifting your mindset, the moment you start taking control of the way you think, everything changes. Your mind is the key to everything you want. Master it, and you will master your life. Number 8. They know that action beats talent every time. Champions know one thing for sure. Action always beats talent. Talent might get you a few steps forward, but it's the consistent action you take that keeps you moving forward when others stop. That's the truth. And that's why champions don't waste time relying on their natural abilities or waiting for the perfect moment. They act, they move, they get things done. Because they know that action is the key to growth and success. See, most people are waiting for that moment when everything aligns perfectly. They're waiting for the motivation to kick in or for the right opportunity to show up. But the champions, they don't wait. They go out and make things happen. They act even when they don't feel like it. They act when everything isn't perfect. They act when they're tired, when they're uncertain, when things are difficult. And that's what makes them champions. Why is action so important? Let me break it down for you. Talent is great, sure, but it's limited. It's not going to carry you through every challenge, every setback, or every moment of doubt. Talent might get you in the door, but it's action that will help you stay in the room. It's action that will help you keep going when others give up. Talent can only take you so far, but action is the vehicle that drives you to the finish line. Now, here's the thing about action. It's not always easy. It's not always glamorous. It's not always fun. But champions know that action is the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. And they know that even when they don't feel like it, even when it seems hard, that action is still the most important thing. It's the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Action is what turns potential into results. Think about it. You can have all the talent in the world, but without action, what does it really amount to? Nothing. It's like having a beautiful car with no fuel. It's not going anywhere. But when you take action, even the smallest step, you're filling the tank and pushing yourself forward. And that's when momentum kicks in. That's when things start to move. And trust me, once you start building that momentum, it's a powerful force. The more action you take, the more confident you become. The more you see results, the more you want to keep going. But here's the catch. The action doesn't always have to be perfect. Champions understand that failure is part of the process. They don't shy away from mistakes or setbacks, because they know every failure brings them closer to success. Every time they fall, they get back up stronger, smarter, and more determined than before. They don't worry about being perfect. They worry about being consistent. They don't let fear of failure hold them back from taking that next step. That's the mindset of a champion. They understand that the road to success is paved with action, and they're willing to take imperfect action, day after day, to get to where they want to go. The magic happens when you start moving, when you stop waiting for things to happen and start making things happen. That's where growth happens. That's where results are born. And it's not just about taking action once in a while. It's about taking action consistently. It's about making action a part of who you are. Champions don't take a few steps forward and then stop. They take a few steps forward, then a few more, then a few more. After that, they keep going. They keep pushing. They keep doing the work, even when it's hard, because they know that every bit of effort, no matter how small, is adding up. Every single action is taking them closer to their goals, to their dreams, to their success. And here's the kicker. When you take action, it doesn't just move you forward in your goals. It changes you. It shapes you. It transforms you into the person you need to be to achieve even greater things. Action builds character. It builds confidence. It builds strength. And every time you take action, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of achieving greatness. You remind yourself that you are not a spectator in your own life. You are the one in control, making things happen. Now, I want you to understand something that's critical. Many people think they need motivation before they can act. They believe they need to feel a certain way before they can do the work. But the truth is, motivation doesn't come first. It comes after. When you start acting, even when you don't feel like it, that's when the motivation shows up. It's not the other way around. The act of doing is what sparks the fire. It's what creates the energy you need to keep going. That's why champions don't wait for motivation to strike. They create their own motivation through action. They take the first step, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when the path ahead is unclear. And in doing so, they unlock the energy they need to keep moving forward. Motivation is like a muscle. You have to work it to make it stronger. And the best way to work that muscle, you guessed it, through consistent action. So ask yourself, are you waiting for the perfect moment to take action? Are you waiting for the motivation to show up before you do the work? Or are you ready to stop waiting and start acting? Champions don't wait for the perfect moment, because they know there's no such thing. They know that every moment is the perfect moment to take action. They don't wait for everything to be aligned perfectly. They create their own alignment through action. Here's the bottom line. If you want to be a champion, you need to stop waiting. You need to start acting. Take that first step and then keep going. Every action you take moves you closer to your goals. Every step you take builds momentum. And before you know it, that momentum will carry you to heights you never thought possible. So what are you waiting for? Start acting. Start moving. And watch how everything begins to change. Number 9, champions don't wait for motivation. They create it. Let that sink in for a moment. So many people spend their lives hoping they'll feel motivated before they do something. But champions understand something far more powerful. They know that motivation isn't something that simply strikes you out of nowhere. It's not some magical force that comes from thin air. Motivation is something you must generate from within, and it starts with action. It starts with doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Champions don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. They make the moment perfect by doing anything that moves them closer to their goal. Think about it. How often do you find yourself telling yourself, "I'll do it when I feel motivated"? How often do you look for that spark, that burst of energy to get you going? But here's the catch. Motivation isn't a feeling. It's a decision. And it's a decision you get to make every single day. It's not something that happens to you. It's something you create with your actions. You create it by doing what others won't do. You create it by showing up, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when things aren't going the way you want. The truth is, motivation doesn't wait around for the perfect conditions. It's created by the work you put in and day out. Think about some of the most successful people you know. Are they constantly waiting for motivation to strike them? Absolutely not. They've learned the secret. The more you act, the more motivation you generate. And the less you act, the less motivation you'll feel. You're not waiting for something external to inspire you. You're making your own inspiration by taking action. That's how champions stay motivated. They know that the first step is the hardest. But once they get moving, the motivation follows. It's like a snowball effect. When you start doing something, no matter how small the step, you begin to build momentum. The more you do, the more you feel like doing. The more you accomplish, the more you want to accomplish. That's the power of action. It creates its own energy. You don't have to wait for it to show up. You create it with your consistency, your effort, and your drive. One thing that separates champions from the rest is that they don't rely on external forces to dictate their level of motivation. They take full responsibility for it. They understand that motivation isn't some magical wave that comes out of nowhere. They know that motivation is simply the result of doing something. And the more you do, the more you'll feel motivated to do more. It's as simple as that. You can sit around waiting for the perfect conditions, or you can start now and let the motivation follow. I want you to think about something for a moment. Have you ever had a day where you didn't feel like doing anything? I know I've had my share. But here's the kicker. On those days when I pushed myself to take action, even if it was just a small task, I started feeling more energized. The momentum picked up. That small step created a feeling inside me that fueled my next step. And before I knew it, I was accomplishing things I didn't think I had the energy for. It all started with one decision, the decision to act. That's how champions do it. They don't wait to feel motivated. They start, and the motivation grows. You see, the problem most people face is that they're waiting for motivation to strike before they take any action. They're waiting for that rush of energy to carry them through. But this is the wrong approach. The real secret is in the doing, not in the waiting. It's in the commitment to take action, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's in showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Because when you show up, even on the days you don't feel motivated, you're sending a powerful message to your mind. You're telling yourself, I'm in control. I don't need motivation to succeed. I create my own success. And the more you prove that to yourself, the easier it becomes. But it's not just about taking action for the sake of it. It's about taking deliberate, purposeful action that brings you closer to your goals. Champions know that the work they do today is what will build the foundation for their future. They know that every task, no matter how small, is a step toward their success. And they don't let their feelings dictate their actions. They keep moving forward, even when the journey is tough, Because they know that success doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. You see, motivation comes from progress. It comes from seeing the results of your hard work. It comes from knowing that the effort you're putting in today is worth it, because it's getting you closer to your dreams. And as you begin to see those results, the motivation will only grow. But here's the key. It starts with you. You have to take the first step. You have to make the decision to act, and then you have to follow through, even when the motivation isn't there. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. And it's not just about taking action once or twice. It's about building a habit of action. It's about committing to do something every day, no matter how small, that moves you closer to your goals. Champions don't wait for motivation to strike. They build momentum by acting, even when they don't feel like it. They show up every single day, ready to do the work. And that's how they stay motivated. They don't leave their success up to chance. They take responsibility for it, and they create their own motivation through their actions. So the next time you find yourself waiting for motivation, I want you to remember this. The motivation will come, but only when you start moving. The best way to find motivation is to create it with your actions. Don't wait for inspiration to hit you. Go out and make things happen. And the motivation will follow. You have the power to create your own success. And it all starts with the decision to take action. So stop waiting. Start now. And watch how your motivation and your results begin to skyrocket. Number 10. They see themselves as champions before the world does. You have to see yourself as a champion long before the world does. It's easy to wait for recognition, to wait for someone to acknowledge your greatness. But that's not what makes you great. What makes you great is how you see yourself when no one else is looking. It's how you carry yourself when the spotlight isn't on you. Champions don't wait for the world to recognize them. They recognize themselves first. They believe in their own potential before anyone else does. And that's exactly what sets them apart from the crowd. If you want to become a champion, you have to start by treating yourself like one. I'm not talking about arrogance or false confidence. I'm talking about an unwavering belief in your own worth, your own abilities, and your potential. You have to see the champion inside of you, even when the rest of the world might still be sleeping on you. The way you see yourself shapes everything. It shapes your decisions, your actions, your mindset, and ultimately your success. Champions have a deep understanding of this truth. They don't need other people's validation to know their worth. They know what they're capable of, and they go after what they want without hesitation. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for someone to give them a title. They give themselves the title first, and the world follows suit. Think about it for a moment. Every great person in history, the ones who changed the world, the ones who left a legacy, they all had one thing in common. They saw themselves as great long before anyone else did. They believed in their vision, even when others couldn't see it. They didn't need to hear someone tell them they were special or destined for greatness. They knew it in their hearts, and that belief drove them to act. This is something you need to adopt. If you're serious about becoming a champion, you can't wait for others to tell you how capable you are. You have to tell yourself that first. You have to remind yourself every day that you're worthy of success. And here's the thing. The more you believe in yourself, the more others will begin to believe in you too. It's a ripple effect. Confidence breeds confidence. When you walk into a room and carry yourself with the energy of a champion, people will take notice. When you speak with conviction and pursue your goals with determination, others can't help but see your greatness. But here's the catch. You have to be patient. You have to trust the process. You're not always going to get immediate recognition, and that's okay. You don't need it. The world might not see the champion in you at first, but that doesn't mean it's not there. You have to keep believing, keep putting in the work, keep showing up as if you're already the person you want to become, because that's how you get there. The world can't define you. Only you can do that. And once you start defining yourself as a champion, you'll see the results in every area of your life. One of the most powerful things about this mindset is that it frees you from needing other people's opinions. When you know who you are, you don't need anyone to tell you. You don't need external validation to feel good about yourself or your progress. Champions don't wait for permission to chase their dreams. They don't ask for approval to take action. They decide what they want, and they go after it with everything they've got. They don't let fear, doubt, or the opinions of others hold them back. They trust their own instincts, their own vision, and they keep moving forward, no matter what. Now let's talk about how you can start seeing yourself as a champion today. It starts with the little things. It starts with the way you talk to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself that you're a champion. Look in the mirror and remind yourself that you have what it takes to succeed. When you face challenges, remind yourself that you are capable of overcoming them. When things get tough, don't back down. Push through. Tell yourself that you were made for moments like this. And when you accomplish something, no matter how small, celebrate it. Recognize your progress and acknowledge the effort you've put in. This isn't about waiting for the world to validate you. It's about validating yourself first. Champions understand that self-belief is the foundation of everything. They know that no one else's opinion matters if they don't first believe in themselves. And that's why they act with confidence, even when the world hasn't caught up yet. They trust in their abilities. They trust in their vision. And they trust in the work they're doing, because they know that eventually others will see what they see. It's important to understand that seeing yourself as a champion doesn't mean you're arrogant or conceited. It doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. What it means is that you recognize your worth, and you act accordingly. You know that you're worthy of success, worthy of happiness, and worthy of all the good things life has to offer. And because of that belief, you don't settle for less than what you deserve. You don't let fear or doubt keep you from going after your goals. You keep moving forward, with the certainty that you are on the right path. This mindset doesn't just apply to your career or your goals. It applies to every aspect of your life. Whether you're in your relationships, your health, or your personal growth, seeing yourself as a champion will shape how you approach everything. You'll treat yourself with respect. You'll set high standards for yourself, and you'll surround yourself with people who lift you up. You won't tolerate anything less than greatness, because you know that's what you're capable of. Remember, champions don't wait for recognition. They create it themselves. They don't wait for someone to tell them they're worthy. They decide they are worthy, and they act on that belief. So take a moment and ask yourself, do you see yourself as a champion yet? If not, start today. Start by believing in yourself. Start by setting the bar high. And start by showing up as the person you want to become. Because when you see yourself as a champion, the world will eventually catch up and see you that way too.